So that should do it. Let's see. Computer slow. One second, guys. All right. Grand rising, my fellow Eternals, fellow extraterrestrials, my fellow saints. Welcome again to another sunny Sunday of the One Great I Am Awakening. I'm Chris Taylor, one of your hosts, and with me is my partner in mind and in spirit, Sir T. Say good rising to our panels, to our fellow saints. Get this thing off the road.
Yes, greetings and one love to the family. We don't feel too camera ready in the morning. Not too camera ready, not yet. Kind of in between doing some works and things, but I am here, Sir Chris, and as you mentioned, we have a piece of confusion to debunk as usual, and just a disclaimer to let the masses, audience listening know that we're not here to challenge anyone's belief. We are here to challenge you to think, because we know that once you start thinking, then we won't have to worry about you believing anything, because as we say, thinkers don't believe and believers don't think. So all we are inviting you to do is to just think. We're just opening up a trend of thought for you to just think about this. The things that we are saying, don't just respond to what we are saying. Think about it. Just think about the things that we are saying, because believe me, the things that we are saying it's all logic. So that's all we're over here doing. We are only over here bringing forward logics to the stories that we have been told. And what is logics? Logics is just something that line up with life and life's experiences. The things that life has shown you, it's logical, it's logics. Anything that life has not demonstrated to you, then it's not logical. And that's all we're over here doing, this morning. Yeah. So, special day for me, by the way. This is my New Year day. Today's New Year day for me. 52 revolutions around the sun this morning. So I give thanks to that said speed. I don't think I look too bad at 52-year-old. I still feel like yeah. So I give thanks to that,
Yes, man. Happy Earth, Sir T.
Yes, sir. Give thanks, man.
5-2, one more year upon them.
One more year. Yeah, man. Keep on going until it's time to stop counting this cycle, and a new cycle will begin, said speed, because life has no ending. Life cannot die. And I don't have life, I am life.
Absolutely. Absolutely true. Yeah, man. So today, ladies and gentlemen, so we have Stacy and Devon in the house at the moment, but I'm sure in the interim we'll have a few more people to join us. But thank you for joining, for being here on this sunny Sunday. And we have a certain formation, some revelations to bring to you guys. Now, interestingly, what we're going to be talking about today, the question is it true that out of, the many people who ever lived or who have ever lived here on this planet, only 144,000 will be going to heaven? Is it true? I can remember when I was a little kid, a little youth, hearing this, and from that moment I was confused, because I knew just innately that there could not be only 144,000 people out of the many billions that's been on earth ever since I've been here, So I knew something was off with that. innately I feel like it had to be something symbolic, but I could not put my hands on it. And the theologians could not either. They say, when you get the Holy Spirit or when you get discernment or, we don't know, but God knows and will reveal it, one day. And these are the excuses that religious people use to sidestep when they don't know how to explain something, you know. So we've been given this number from day one, and it's primarily taught by the Jehovah's Witnesses. They wholeheartedly believe this, that only 144,000 people are elect, the chosen, as some people have called them, will go to heaven with the Lord. Now, what Jehovah's Witnesses believe is that it doesn't mean that only 144,000 will be saved. So they kind of distinguish it in a certain way to explain that the 144,000 are just a special tribe of people selected to be with the Lord in heaven. But not only 144,000 will be saved. These are just a special elected a few of the many. Because I kind of studied with these Jehovah's Witnesses, ever since I was younger coming up. So these are the things that they would point out to me, that the rest will be actually living right here on earth. Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe that the earth will be destroyed as other religious groups believed. They believe the earth will just be renewed, reformed in some way, and everyone will be living as one right here. So they don't believe the destruction of the earth. They don't believe in people are going to be burnt up in the fire and all this type of stuff. And there lies the confusion, because then you go to another church and they believe otherwise, that the earth will be completely destroyed and everyone will be caught up in heaven. The rapture will occur and people will be caught up in heaven and all these different things. And so we're not sure which side is true, because there are too many different beliefs or explanation for the 144,000 and so on and so forth. So just something I want to draw to your attention. Where did this 144,000 come from? And what is the significance? Yes, sir, T.
I'll tell you one thing that I'm sure of. Very, very sure of. Mm-hmm. Not one person going to heaven, much more 144,000. Not one single human being going to know heaven. First of all, there is no such place in existence. Has anybody ever been there? Do you know how absurd it is for us to be here believing that you're going to go live in a place one day that is somewhere prepared, and not one person has ever gone there to prove that that place even exists? Nobody going to know heaven. For what? And I'll tell you another thing too. In our early days, when people were subscribing to this 144,000 people going to heaven, what was the world's population when people first started subscribing to that?
Billions of people, man.
No, the world's population wasn't no billions as it is now. The world's population was probably a little bit more than 144,000. When people first started subscribing to this thing. This thing is coming from centuries back. So as a matter of fact, when this thing first came out, it was almost a 3-to-1 ratio, probably. 1 out of every 3, probably. Do you get what I'm saying? 144,000 was probably a third of the world population then. This thing is coming from way back. The world's population is the biggest it has ever been today. What the world's population is today, that's the largest it has ever been. So we have to keep all those things in mind too, that when this thing was first propagated How many people live in our world? Because the number hasn't changed. They're not this, it's the same number they've been tossing around from ever since, 144,000.
And also, to add to that, 30, we are what, 8 billion plus strong right now?
Yes.
I am certain that more people have died than who are alive now.
That's all right. Do you understand?
Since who are alive now,
way more people have died than the amount where they are now.
Exactly. We're way past that. You know? So, I mean,
what's going to become of all these people that died? Just waste people them?
Yeah. I don't know just who are here now. What about the people who have gone before us? What happened to them? You mean to tell me that what's here now plus what was before, only 144,000 are going to heaven, are will be saved? Because when I used to ask the Christians coming up and they told me foolishly, yeah, man, only 144,000. And I'm saying to myself, so where does that leave you? How you know that you'll be one of them? How do you know you'll be one of the 144,000? What is your purpose? Like what is this is you'll have a better chance hitting the lottery. And you know the lottery is not easy to win. You'll have a better chance winning the lottery 100 times than being selected as one of 144,000 out of the billions that have existed already.
But I'm going to give you a joke about that 144,000. Every person who believes in that 144,000, they would want to give off the impression that they think they're going to be a part of the 144,000. But deep within, every last one of them doubt themselves that they're going to be a part of the 144,000. Because every last one of them know their deeds and they know they don't measure up. There isn't one single human being who would stand confident that I am going to be a part of that 144,000. Every last man doubt himself. Every last man. You're talking to a man who was a minister in the apostolic church, where people believed in me like how they believe in a God. If you were to if 15, 18 years ago you were to ask people in that apostolic church to name 10 people that they think would be in the 144, I am pretty sure my name would have come up in it. And even then, I knew for a fact that I was never gonna be in it. I knew for a fact that I was never gonna be in it.
What's our Kimberly right there? What's that? 144,000 is only from the tribes of Israel. So that is maybe 10 to 20 million. Okay. So yeah, that's right there. Only tribe of Israel is from the 144,000. We have the 12 tribes of Israel, 12,000 each. 12 times 12 is 144,000. You know, all these things that they describe, coming up through the Bible. The 12, sorry, let's talk about the 12 tribes of Israel then, Serti. You're telling me the 12 tribes of Israel, them are who again? Those are Jacob's sons, right?
Correct.
So Jacob, if that be the case, he's not even included. Right? Huh? If that be the case, he's not included.
No, because Jacob no belong to none of the 12 tribe of Israel. Neither does Abraham or Isaac or Noah.
None of them. Nobody who preceded them.
What are you looking for?
Because you're talking about those 12 and their tribes. So not even Isaac, not even Jacob, Noah, none of these people who preceded the 12 tribes would be included, because it's telling you that is all those who came after those 12. not the ones before or after. It would be their generations. So there you have it again. That doesn't make any sense. Because what happens to the so-called patriarchs? You know, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. What happened to them three people there? And their descendants. You understand? Our ancestry. So here we're talking about the tribes of Israel. As we've been taught, these 12 tribes of Israel. Keep in mind, you know, as we prefaced weeks ago, and I always like to bring this up. Let me see where I have it at. I have it here somewhere in my notes. All right. It says it right here. Abraham, right? Abraham and Sarah. Previously, Abraham and Sarai. Both their names were changed. And Abraham and Sarah gave birth to Isaac. Abraham also had Ishmael with his what do you call her, concubine, Hagar. And the story went on to tell you that Isaac, who met Rebecca, Isaac and Rebecca, who gave birth to Jacob and Esau. But prior to Esau even coming into being, it tells you that the story of those two, Sarah and Jacob, Sarah and Abraham, is an allegory. Galatians 4 verse 24 tells you that these things are an allegory. What is an allegory? An allegory is a story that is made up with a hidden meaning. So this thing that we've read in the Bible could not have been history, but rather a mystery of esoteric knowledge, written in the form of a story for you to find what the true meaning of the story really is. It was not written for you to take it as history. So Abraham and Sarah did not exist. These are not actual individuals who ever lived. So therefore, if they never lived, their predecessors did not live, their ancestors did not live, and their descendants did not live either. So this 12 tribe of Israel nonsense would make no sense at all if their predecessor did not live. If Isaac didn't live because his father Abraham did not live, then neither did Jacob, who is Isaac's son. And the 12 tribes who came from Jacob, prior to his name being changed to Israel, did not live either.
And that means Jesus did not live either, because Jesus came from the tribe of Judah. And if Jesus came from the tribe of Judah, and if Judah was not a real person, then Jesus was not a real person neither.
And Judah was Jacob's son, right?
Judah was Jacob's fourth son.
See there? Judah was the fourth son.
Yeah, it's a fourth. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah. Yeah.
And if Jesus came from the tribe of Judah, then you're right. Then Jesus doesn't exist neither.
It's simple. It does not exist literally, like it's not a physical, literal being. If Abraham having two sons, Isaac and Ishmael, if that's an allegory, then anything that springs forth out of Isaac and Ishmael must be an allegory too, because if they never existed, how them offspring to exist?
Yeah.
There's a reason those things are written in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that there are Christian apologists who will try to explain that away. But again, we're just inviting the masses to think about these things. Think.
Exactly. We here on the One Great I Am are thinkers. You know, we're not people who just listen to the religious garb preached to us and we just accept it and take it. You take it and study and you discern it. You look at it and try to use common sense reasoning, logics, you know, compared to nature is what we read in the Bible something natural, something that naturally happens. If it's history, if it's something that it was actually real, did that really happen? And if it did, why are we not still doing that today? When we were told that we'll be doing these same things and even greater, and we haven't seen any man walk on water yet. We haven't seen a man turn water into wine yet. Cross the Red Sea, turn turn a wooden staff into a snake and then bring it back to wood. We haven't seen a man strike a rock and blood comes out of it. We haven't seen a snake talk. Oh no, we've seen snake bit people and kill people, but we haven't seen a snake talk yet. Or a talking donkey. We haven't seen a man who was dead themselves for 4 days. So much so that he was already rotten. We haven't seen a man raised from the dead. Nobody has taken someone who just died or has been dead for hours and said, let us take him to the church or to the priest or to somebody and let them raise him from the dead. When we were told that these things that Christ has done, we will be doing them as well and greater than these as well, whatever that is. Why haven't we taken our loved ones to go get raised from the dead or get on our knees and pray day in, day out for Christ or somebody, some God to raise this person from the dead? Why haven't we done that? If the person is sick, we try to take them to the clinic, the hospital, and stuff like that, or administer our own medication naturally, or what have you. But have we tried to raise somebody from the dead that we dearly love? Have we done that? Just what is today? Sunday. Just last week Sunday, my kid's mother's mom, their grandmother, passed, and I was there looking at her body, and it never once came to my mind to see if I could raise her from the dead because I know she's gone. She gone. It never came to mind. We know this. But you know who was trying to get her to come back to life? The paramedics, the people who are doctors and clinicians and stuff like that, who was trying their best to get her heart to go going again. Nobody not get down and pray to raise her from the dead.
Sir Chris,
Down, you know, to raise her from the dead after a whole week. Yes,
sir, I saw one religious sect. Of all the religious people I've ever been around, I would consider them to be the most cultish, the most upright. Well, when I say upright, I mean upright by their own standards within themselves. As far as they're concerned, their small little church that they go to with a few members, maybe 40 and 50 members, is the only righteous church on the planet, and they are the only people who are doing it God's way, and they are the only people who are going to heaven according to them. And their bishop is the only true messenger that was left on the earth, as far as them concerned. When the bishop got sick and died, the bishop dead. And then took almost 3 days before they call the funeral home if you can't get the man body. You know?
Yeah.
Have the man body down there a pray about resurrection what? A dead man that they want to better go bury that. Then have the man body in a church, they pray for almost 3 days. and people go fall asleep, and while they were asleep, them wake up saying that in a vision they saw the bishop resurrected, and the Lord want them to continue pressing on and continue praying and believing, and they didn't eat for the 3 days. They are fasting and praying that the bishop is gonna come back where? Come back where?
Come back, yes, but not as that guy.
The man, the dead man, and I better go bury that man.
He's coming back, but that as that guy, he's not coming back in that guy's body. Be a different form of some kind.
People have to be realistic, and I mean, I was on a TikTok yesterday evening, and I was explaining it to some people because they are saying, well, you must be an atheist. I say, I don't know what an atheist is. If you say I'm an atheist, that's up to you. What I am, I'm a realist. That's what I know that I am. I am a realist. I take things the way of reality, things that subscribe to reality. I'm a realist. My mantra in life is, it is what it is. Don't tell me about any man, any God that created anything. We don't know about that. That's an assumption. What we know about who created man is your parents create you. That is what we know for a fact. And that's what I work with. I work with knowledge. I work with what I know, not what I believe. What I know, I was telling you last night, Sir Chris, that I am my father's creation. My father, Roderick Thomas, created me in his own image and likeness. When you look at the man you're looking at, I told you I caught myself in the mirror a couple of weeks ago. You know, you're just passing the mirror and glance. And when I was passing the mirror and I took a glance, and if that man had already left this earth, if my father wasn't still alive, I would have swear I just saw a ghost when looking at the mirror. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't see myself, I saw him.
Yeah.
My nieces and nephews, my siblings talk all the time that, boy, I tell us, yeah, your father oneself. Not only look like him, I'm talking, I have the man's every trait. Sometimes I find myself talking to my children, especially when I'm reprimanding my children, even though my children, them grown.
I like him too.
Even when I'm reprimanding my children, them sometimes I catch myself and like, damn, you sound just like that man. Created in his image and likeness. He is the God that created me in his image. I don't look the other God where you talk about. Me not look like him. Me not know him. I know who I look like. I look like Roderick Thomas. And that's who I behave like. I was created in that man's image and likeness. So now that I know that, I should bypass that to go believe, see, I want different brethren create me in his image. I mean, I don't know what that brethren they look like. No, I was created by this man that's right here in his image and likeness. So we work with knowledge, we work with what we know, not what we believe. Never you bypass what you know to go subscribe to an assumption, to what you assume. Don't bypass the knowledge that when the brother says, so where did the first man come from? Nobody knows anything about no first man. Nobody has any knowledge of any day when there was only one man on this earth. We are assuming that. Your barn comes to the earth full of people. And if you ask your father, he might tell us, did barn come to the earth full of people too? And if you ask your grandfather and as many grandfathers as you want to go back, every last one of them will tell us, them barn comes to the community full of people. So where did this first man idea come from? That's an assumption. And the only thing you can do with an assumption is believe it. You can never prove an assumption.
Okay. So we're having to say that we were made by another higher civilization.
Okay, good. Prove it.
Them call them the Anunnaki. That's one of the names.
Listen,
that they've been using lately.
Yeah, people can do whatever they want, but all you have to do is look for yours. Just go one generation forward and one generation back. Who created your daughter them? Your two daughter them you have, who created them? No, you.
Came from my loins, yeah.
Okay, and who created you? No, your father and your mother.
Yep.
If you go a generation forward, you realize it's man a create man. And if you go a generation backward, you realize your man a create man. So why should we assume anything other than that? When I look at my children, them, when I look at my children, them, 5 of them, when me look on them, brother, there is no doubt who created them. And me create them. In my own image and likeness when me look on them.
All of them look like you.
Okay. So why do we have to go beyond that? Now, if you come say, is that God created you, is that Anunnaki, or is that all kind of foolishness? Why are you assuming when you know? Why are you assuming? Why are you going past what you know to assume something that you will never be able to prove? Work with what you know. If you check them DNA, that I don't know Anunnaki and I don't know God DNA, they have a fear.
Right? My question would be then, who created the Anunnaki? If they create me, then someone must create them.
Exactly.
But all of this is going back to a rabbit hole that, as I said, would never end. You understand? So it is neither here nor there. Why are we trying to figure that out? We're here. And we understand our own powers. We see it, all the things that man has done. We're the only beings who are doing what we're doing. But don't misconstrue the rest of of nature that they're not playing a part. Everything plays a part. Everything, even the bees and the ants, everything is in existence for a reason and their own purpose. Okay, like just like a car, every nut, every bolt, every section of the car is there for a reason. Some of it may not make sense, but it would not be there if it didn't have any reason or purpose. You understand? But there's always going to be a hierarchy or a head. And that's where we as human beings are what we represent, you know. But everything else has its purpose. Yes, sir, T.
No, man, go ahead. I'm listening in.
Yeah, man. So, but we're here discussing today, you know, the 144,000. And so I'm going to bring up a couple of things to explain what is a symbolic representation of the 144. All right, so first thing I want you guys to go to, we're going to go to, as we're talking about creation here, Adam. Okay, we're going to go back to the name Adam. Adam, A-D-A-M. Now remember, Adam is not an English name. It was Englishized from the origin, which is 3 letters from the Hebrew alphabet. Aleph, Dalet, Mem. 3 letters. Aleph, Dalet, Mem. It's pronounced Adam. Okay? All they did was added the because Hebrew names, for the most part, are not pronounceable because they don't have vowels in between them and stuff like that. They're not pronounceable. But when you organize the letters together and stuff like that, they add vowels like Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. You can't pronounce that. They tell you it's because you cannot pronounce God's name because it is an abomination and nonsense. You cannot pronounce it because it has no vowels. Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. How you pronounce that? All you can do is just say the word out, those 4 letters. Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. So what they've done is they've Anglicized it and made it Jehovah. First of all, them changed the Y to a J. They added an E, an O, and an A. Jehovah. But if you go back to the origin, it's Y-A, what is it? Y-H-W-A or Y-H-V-H. Can't pronounce that. So they went and added some vowels and made it pronounceable. It's the same thing with Adam. Aleph, Dalet, Mem. So Aleph is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Its numerical value is 1. Dalet is the fourth Hebrew letter in the alphabet. So its numerical value is 4. And Mem, which is the 13th letter in the Hebrew alphabet, its numerical value is 40. When you put all those four letters, all those numbers together, 1440, okay? You see the 144 there, okay? Now, what they do, when you add up all the numbers, you add them up individually, or single digits, not double digits. So you add 1 plus 4 plus 4 plus 0 equals 9, all right? So the name Adam, and there's also another word, another name I'm going to get to, which will signify the same. The name Adam now adds up to 9. 9 is the number for consciousness. Adam means mankind, okay? Male and female. And so in case this gets to any, what do you call it now, religious people, I'm going to, oh wait there. No, I want the King James Version. I think it's slick. I'm going to read the verse that tells you that mankind is named Adam. Okay? So Genesis 1, verse 26. I'm going to read Genesis 5, verse 1 and 2 as well. All right? Genesis 1, verse 26 says, and God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them. So notice him say man, you know. Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them. So now they're calling man them, plural. Do you guys see that? When we were coming up in church, we never see it. Went over our heads. Man is now called them. And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and make all the earth and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Now, verse 27 says, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. This is before them talk about God putting Adam to sleep and taking a rib out of him and making him a woman. Okay? So how do you explain that? This was from verse 1, Genesis 1, sorry. The very first chapter of the book, talking about when he created man. And it was after he created man, the so-called Adam, that he put him to sleep and took a rib out of him and created him a woman and named her Eve. Now, let's read Genesis 5, verse 2. 5:2. Okay? That's the way it said. Genesis 5, verse 2. No, verse 1 and 2. Genesis 5, 1 and 2. Here it is. All right? It says, this is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that God created man, in the likeness of God made he him. So man is also called him, but do not misconstrue to believe that the him they're talking about here is a male. The him they're talking about here is both sexes. Okay? As a matter of fact, in Jamaica, we've always seen this where in the countryside, everybody are him, male and female. Allow me to tell you something.
Yes, I saw them talk about everybody.
Everybody are him. And
I said, me can't, me not like going one. I insist about that. You know.
So we were, you see, we were speaking like that at a certain level of understanding, innate understanding, and did not even realize it. It was only in Kingston where we differentiate a male from a female, him and her, or she and him. But in the country, everybody are him. Everybody, young, old, doesn't matter. Everybody was him. But we understood that when they call a girl him, they're not saying she's a male. We know she's a female. And when you say the name, there was always the name of the person and then the other description of him. So we know they're talking about a female in the context of the conversation. So do not misconstrue that. That's another problem we have with the English language. Now here's verse 2. This is very keen. Male and female created he them and blessed them and called their name Adam. Their name, not his name. It never said and called his name Adam and her name Eve. It said and called their name. There is plural in the day when they were created. No theologians, no pastor has ever sat anyone down and explained this to us in any Bible study. Never. Went to Sunday school many years of my life, and these things are just glossed over. I've recited this verse many times and didn't even understood what I was reciting, because we were told to read things by memory, not by understanding, not by comprehension. We were never told to comprehend anything. But first of all, you're told not to ask God any questions. Okay? And you will get discernment. But it is telling you right here in plain English that Adam, the name Adam, means man. Okay? It means man, which is male and female, which is a masculine male and a feminine male. Okay? The key word here, the root word here is that all of us is male, but one is masculine, one is feminine. All of us is man. One is a generic man, and one is a woman, a man with a womb. Okay? Our anatomy is no different, with the exception of our genitalia. And furthermore, our genitalia is similar even at birth until it changes based on what you're going to be. You start out with being created with a vagina and the ovaries, which then changes to a penis if you are a male. Okay, if you're a female, it remains the same. So it is telling you everything is coming from a oneness. So this is why our common name is man. Our male. It's one, not two. So when they're talking about the let us here, that was also another thing that confused me. Who is the us? If God is one, where's the us from? The us here is consciousness, not just as some try to explain it, the Elohim, which is plural or plural singular, if you want to call it that, meaning that it is the one made up of the many. Beyond that, consciousness is what is the book is talking about here. Consciousness is a conscious mind and a subconscious mind, male and female aspect of the one mind. Two sides of the same one coin. It's consciousness. made in the image. Everybody is made in this same image. The image here is one of us is male, one of us is female. Okay, that is the image. The image of consciousness is one side of it is male, one side of it is female. This is why everything is male and female. Even the dog and the cat, everything is male and female. Everybody has noticed that by now. The likeness is how we operate. We also have the same operation, the same nature. What's the nature? We also create life. We also give life. We also have babies who look just like us. We have male and female babies doing the same thing, the likeness. We are also creating the same likeness, the same thing. Looks just like us. They all come up to do the same thing we've done over and over and over and over. Okay? So Adam is where the 144 comes from. It's the number from man. Okay? From mankind. And what is the why is it 144,000? This is where man has raised its level of ascension, our level of awareness from the 144 times 1,000. The 1,000 there is just an exaggerated number, meaning that we have gone, because Aleph is also means 1,000, and it's pronounced Aleph. Okay? Aleph or Aleph is the same word, but 1,000 is spelled the same way as the name Aleph, but then pronounce it Aleph, like an E. Okay? And so it is telling you when mankind has come to this awareness, any man, male or female, when we have come to this awareness where we start to realize that, but wait a minute, I'm not just this flesh, I'm not just this body, you know, I am so much more. This is not who I am. Serti alluded to it earlier. I am life, I don't have life. When you realize that's who you are, you have just now become the chosen or the elect, the 144,000. It is symbolic, it's not an exact number. That would be foolish to believe this nonsense, that an exact number. The only exact number that there is who you really are. Okay? That is exact. You are consciousness. And the day that you recognize that and realize that's who you are, you have now multiplied your consciousness from just being flesh to now being pure awareness. Okay? That's how you are chosen. You choose yourself. You're not chosen by no God in the sky, or one day you're going to be chosen or raptured up into the air. All that is a supernatural foolishness. That's dream world, imaginary world. Okay? In real life, it is you consciously becoming aware of your true divinity, your true existence. Okay? And so the number adds up to 9. 9 is the number for consciousness because you are consciousness. There is another number, another name that gives you the same number, 30. And that word is atom, ATOM. Now you see the similarities there. One word, one letter is A, one is T, one is O, one is M. So the A and the M are similar to the name Adam. They all have 4 letters in them. However, we're gonna use the A for Aleph. We're gonna use a T for the letter Tav, the last letter in the Hebrew alphabet. And we're going to use the M for Mem again. The O, we're going to disregard that because that is a vowel that is added to pronounce the name, atom. Okay? Now, ATM, Aleph, 1, Tav is 400. and mem is 40. When you add them up in single digits, again, 1 plus 4 plus 0 plus 0 plus 4 plus 0 equals 9. Okay? Now, another interesting word, number for atom is what I'm saying, man, is Sir Clifford might know this. The number 666, carbon. Carbon, I believe, is 6 or something like that. Sir, what's his name? Could explain that, because he's very versed on these intellectual topics.
Yeah.
What is the number for carbon?
The number of man, carbon's atomic number is 12. 6 protons and 6 neutrons. So it has an atomic number of 18.
What is it? What is that again? You're breaking up. Repeat this.
6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons is carbon.
Okay, there it is.
Now the thing about there's a little thing I would push back on as far as your gematria, because when you're using Hebrew, you're doing the total they don't break it down to a single digit. They go up to 3-digit numbers. So you could have 146 or 144, 6, 9, or whatnot. It just depends on the value of the numbers. So that's when you're going off specifically gematria. But when you do total up those numbers for the number of man, being a carbon-based individual, meaning the man is made from afar, which is the word for carbon, and that's how you get the 666. It's a number of a man, and his name would total that 666 value. So there's a lot of people that argue what that is, and that's whatever.
I'm gonna tell you what
as you were saying, you're on the right track with that.
I'll tell you what it is. Thank you for that, sir. So the number 666.
As a side note, I'm listening in, taking care of the children today, so I'm popping in and out, but I'm listening.
All right, cool. All right, so we're told in Revelation that the number 666 is the number of a man, or the number of man. I don't remember specifically if it says a man or the number of man. And so that can be misunderstood because we're thinking it's some individual, a man, that's going to be named the mark of, named as the beast or whatever. 666 is the mark of the beast. And nobody knows who the beast is. Okay? Just to get to it, the beast is man. Okay? Man is this beast. Male and female. We're the beast. Not some special individual that is to come. The beast, that number 666, is our lower mind, the lower self. The 144 is the higher self. Now, if you look at, let's add up these numbers. 666. 3 6s are 18. And if you add 1 and 8, it equals 9. So you see, being consciousness, being the upper yod and the lower yod, the aleph, which we talked about some while ago. Aleph tells you in that one letter that is made of 3 letters, actually 2, but 2 is repeated, 2 yods and one vowel. The vowel is what joins the upper yod to the lower yod, but it is telling you that there's a higher self and there's a lower self, a higher mind and a lower mind. From the very beginning, the first letter of the alphabet is telling you that you are one consciousness, but you are operating as 2. You have a higher self and a lower self. The lower self is the flesh. That is the 666. Okay? And when you add it up, it equals to 9. 9 is the number for consciousness. If you look at in any numbers you go in the 1111 right now, any numbers you go into the book, into scripture, and they tell you about these numbers, you'll be surprised how they all just, as they would say, miraculously add up to 9. Why? When Jesus told Peter, I believe it was, to cast his net to the right side, scripture says he caught 153 fishes. Why 153? Why such a random number? Eh? But when you add up 1 plus 5 plus 3, it equals 9. It is telling you the right hemisphere of the mind, the subconscious, or the right hemisphere of the brain, right, is where your power is, the 9. And interestingly, on the left side, well, the right side is 90%, the left side is 10%. That's why I always say you're only using 10% of your brain. Duh, that's because you can only use 10% because we operate from the left hemisphere in the conscious world. Okay? So you're always using 10%. That's why they say to give 10% to the church or give 10% to God. The right side, the subconscious, is the good mind or the good or God. Okay? You're supposed to give everything from the left, the conscious, to the subconscious. That's what I'm getting this concept about giving 10% to God. We have said give 10% to the church, you know, and then the church said we're doing God's work, so it's God's money anyways. But your 10% is your conscious mind going to the subconscious. Whatever you desire, you tell it to the subconscious. This is where they have the in the Roman Catholic the confession where you go to the Father and confess. You on one side, the Father on the other side. You on the other on one side is the conscious mind telling the subconscious your secrets that will be kept secret because the subconscious is your secret realm. It is you on the other side. And you're telling your secrets, whatever you know consciously, the subconscious knows it. You know, I don't know, nothing you have to confess. It knows everything you know. But there's a part of you that has to become direct or emotional, meaning having the feeling of your desire and tell it to the subconscious. The subconscious then manifests it. That is the 90% that you're supposed to cast your net. Your net is your conscious mind with all the desires that you have. Okay? When we look in north, you look to your right, the sun rises to the right. The right side is where or the right hand is where all your power is. Okay? And you're supposed to, when the power raises from that side, it gives life to everything. That is the life-giving spirit within all of man. So consciousness, the number 9, is what the book is trying to tell you from the beginning all the way to the end. From Adam all the way to Revelation, it is telling you. The 666, the 144, both of those numbers are mentioned in Revelation because it is telling you about yourself. You're telling about yourself as the flesh, man, your lower mind, the beast, because you operate as one. You know, we're always at war, killing each other, doing all kind of foolishness. But then when you arise from that level, when you conquer the beast, you become the 144,000. You become part of that rapture, become part of that ascended being. And you no longer regard another man as your enemy. You realize that You are the enemy within your own self. And so therefore, any man that you meet who becomes your enemy, you're only meeting yourself on the outside. It's the inside reflecting on the out, projecting on the out. It's what's going on within your own mind, your own consciousness, because you are consciousness. This number 9, the totality. This is why our number system is from 0 to 9. Okay? 0 to 9. Not 1 to 10. You understand? There is no number 10 necessarily. It's from 0 to 9. Okay? The only reason why the 10 exists is because it's that number 1, okay, that they take to add to the next 0 to 9 numbers. So you add 1 to 0, it becomes 10. You add 1 to 1, it becomes 11. You add 1 to 2, it becomes 12. And when it gets to 20, now they take the 2, the next level of numbers, they take 2 and add it to 0, now it's 20. All the way to 1 to 99, you will see it. It's only 0 to 9. It is telling you right in front of your face. Consciousness. Okay? Another number I want to put out there to you guys is the number 18. This is why they say you become an adult at the age of 18, because when you add 1 and 8, it equals 9. Okay? It is that level that that you become really, really, I would say, curious. I remember when I was 18, that's when everything started to change for me. That's when I lose all fear about heaven and hell foolishness. What's your saying? The number system we have is Arabic, and the 10 changed to a 2-digit number. That doesn't happen in Hebrew. Well, in Hebrew, the number system in terms of the alphabet goes to 22. They do have a 10 there, but it is the 10 is symbolic in a way where 10 is telling you about the duality of consciousness. The 1 is the conscious mind, and the 0 is the subconscious. The 1 is the male, and the 0 is the female. So the 10 represents the duality of consciousness. 9 represents the totality, or the like a woman is pregnant for 9 months. 22 letters, 10 digits. Okay. Interesting. A woman has a baby in 9 months, you know? So it is telling you right there in the number system. Numbers are really symbolic. They're symbols. We call them numbers, but another word for them are symbols. They're all symbolic. They all represent something to an effect, but they're never to be construed with just some randomness. Everything exists based on awareness, based on consciousness itself. And so these numbers represent consciousness in many different aspects of the consciousness itself that we have used, or the ancients have used, and so on and so forth. But in the Bible, all these numbers are used symbolically. 3, 7, 144, the 666, all these numbers are used. Number 12 is another one, are used to emphasize certain aspect of consciousness. They're not just there just for show. They have a specific meaning behind all of them. You know what I mean? So right there you can see that as we're discussing the 144,000, these are not specific individuals or a exact number of individuals who will be, as um, Clifford mentioned earlier about they would be the governing body with God. No, um, it's not a specific number, 144,000. The governing body aspect or description of it makes sense because it is those of us who have ascended and are now governing, meaning um, teaching, telling, making known what we know to the others who are still caught up with the flesh, who are still lovers of the flesh, meaning the world, the physical world and stuff like that. Having the beast, the 666. So it's easy. Why do God need a governing body? Exactly. Who are they governing? Are there only righteous people in heaven? Why do they need to be governed? That's right. Aren't they only righteous? Because this is the misconstruement of the scripture that we've come to now realize that all these things were just a misalignment of the truth by the churches, by theologians, by the governing bodies, the government, the powers that be, all these people. All these things are to keep people lost. They're teaching something that has value and they devalue it. Like anything, the book has value, but they have devalued it with all the dilution of being purposeful in their lies and misguidance. They're not doing this randomly. All of these things have been calculated to mislead the population, mislead the people, especially on the theologians' part. A lot of them out there know this truth, but they're too caught up with the flesh, with the world. The money is too good for them to tell people this truth, so they keep it to themselves. And us as people are very gullible and believe only because we do not know. That's the only reason why you believe things, is when you don't know. But when you know, somebody could tell you something for you to believe it, but you will not accept it because you know the truth within yourself. And so this is why us here on the One Great I Am Awakening come here every Sunday to give you guys something to make you think, to finally start to say, I never knew that's how it was. And now it gets you to think. And you start to go into trying to discern or make sense of the nonsense that we've been fed. So, Sir what you say about that now?
Yeah, Sir Christopher. Yeah, no, I was a bit distracted. I'm kind of double tasking here, getting ready to start an assignment here. So I'm kind of distracted at the moment.
Okay. So we'll start with the all right. I know Lawrence here joined us late, but are you able to give us any, explanation or your own understanding on this topic for today? 144,000. What was your, I would say, belief or understanding of the 144 coming up as a child when you were told that only 144,000 will go to heaven, you know, and everybody else will fall to the wayside or whatever the case may be, you know. But just always remember that these numbers are going to always add up back to 9. 360 degrees, that's 9. Okay, 3 and 6 is 9. All these things they're telling us the whole time. If you cut 360 in half, it becomes 180. 1 and 8 is 9. Okay, it's always going to give you the 9. So you see right there that if you cut the 360 is the whole. It's all of consciousness. 1. You cut it in half, you have 180 and 180, one above, one below, or one to the right, one to the left. But it is telling you that we are a mirror of our invisible self. Okay, what you see here is just a projection, the mirrored aspect of what you cannot see. Okay, but together we are a whole. You know, you are in consciousness, and consciousness is in you. It's one whole, one body, split into. One is projecting the other, and you are doing all the works of the Father of consciousness. There's nothing that you do that is not of consciousness, whether it be good or so-called evil. Okay, it's all the works, the inner works of consciousness. Mr. Sunshine, I know he say he's busy with the kids. Anything you have to add or want to say to the numbers that I mentioned? I guess Mr. Sunshine is still busy. Arancy looks like she's still busy. Anybody have anything you want to add or ask about the 144? These numbers always come back to being 9, because 9 represents the power or consciousness itself.
Busted out on the bottom, so I got to put something to get this part back up and going. But normally I crank out a couple. Get down on it. Yeah, and then dips on that side and all that. It's seen better days.
And Daddy lets us play on this.
Yeah. Okay. Careful.
Yeah, he doesn't realize his microphone is open, Chris.
I wonder. Okay. So Larry says your frequency, I guess, could reach 144,000 hertz, megahertz, or something like that. But that 144, there's some other numbers I'm gonna go over, and then we're gonna start to close this thing up. But I just want to show you guys this, all these things that go over our heads. Where is it? All right, so look at this. Okay, so 1 foot is equal to 12, and when it's squared, it's 144. Think that's a coincidence? Check this out. All right there. we have 24 hours in a day, right? You multiply 24 by 60. Let me see what the number is. So we can be exact. 60 times 24 equals 1440. There goes the 144 again. Okay. You think that's coincidence? That we have 12 hours in the first half of the day and another 12 in the second half? It's no coincidence. 12 times 12 is 144. Everything is always leading back to consciousness. 1 cubic foot is 1,728 inches, or cubic inches. If you add that number, 1 plus 7 is 8, plus 2 is 10, plus 8 is 18. You add the 1 and the 8, it equals 9. 1 square yard, 1,296 inches. You add the 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 9 is 12, plus 6 is 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. So you cannot escape it. This number 9. And there was a guy who did a rap. Somebody posted it in the video, in the room. I'm gonna see if I can find it. Some months ago, and he was rapping about 9. He mentioned the word feminine, which has the number 9 in it. Feminine. Is that coincidence? Isn't it the feminine aspect of us, the woman, the female that carries a baby for 9 months? Feminine is telling you, they say a woman is pregnant for 270 days. Thereabout, you add the 207 equals 9. So everything is always going to go back to consciousness. So even if we consciously design something unbeknownst to us of any such thing named consciousness, we're going to always arrive at something that relates to consciousness, because that's who we are. We cannot escape that aspect of our true self. You understand? It's like we represent, so to speak, like a pen, that writes, that makes everything visible, physical. But the writer is consciousness. So we're the pen with the ink, making everything visible that is coming from the mind of the one writing. See, the consciousness can think, but needs something to project or make known what it is thinking. That this is where the flesh comes in. Making things flesh, making things visible. Okay? So we cannot escape our true self. Everything we're doing is going to go right back to consciousness. We're either going to project it in some way, or it's going to lead back to it in some way. Okay? So this is one specific explanation of the 144,000. The bottom line is there's no such thing as a specific number of people or group who are going to be the governing body with God, with this omnipotent being. Okay? The 144, again, or the 1440, the first number from Adam, that is the representation of man. Okay, that number is man. Man represents consciousness. From the very beginning, it's telling you that consciousness is in man. That 1440 represents the higher awareness of man, which is man's consciousness. Okay, the 144. It was always in from the very beginning. But we carry another number on our foreheads, but not literally on our foreheads. It is talking about your brain for the most part. Okay, you have your frontal lobe and you have all these different things that is operating consciousness. Okay, now the 666 is your lower self operating in a, well, yes and no, a lower level of your higher self. Okay, why do you have to operate like that? You cannot operate as your higher self when you're being at a lower, what does it know, dimension. Being here requires a downgrade of yourself to operate in a specific way. In other words, if I have an electrical plant, I cannot use the entire power to operate with. I have to break it down to 120 volts, so to speak, at least in this country. Okay? I have to break it down here to operate all my components. I cannot plug a fridge into the entirety of the power of the source. It will explode. Okay? Burn up, literally. So I have to find a way to downgrade, to transform the energy to a lower aspect of itself, while still remaining one with the totality of itself. It can never operate without the totality of itself. It's not possible. It has to always be plugged in. This is why when they cut your power, you have no power because you're not plugged into the source anymore. You understand? So you're always plugged into the source. Here in the physical, you're always plugged into your consciousness, your awareness, the side that is reflecting you, but you are the lower aspect of it. But the higher aspect cannot operate without becoming lower. It cannot run around as a human being in that source or power. It's not possible. So it had to vibrate lower. And scientists or some people have to say that when it vibrates low is when it becomes seen. When it vibrates high, when it's invisible. So you have to vibrate lower. Now the power, the goal now is to recognize that and start to vibrate again at a higher level than where you began. Instead of going lower and lower, you should be ascending. And then you will become one with the source that you've always been. When you do that, higher frequencies, that's right. When you do that, that's when you become the 144. Okay? It's not a place, it's a place of being, but it's not a place. It's not a set of individuals who have been specifically selected and put aside to commune with God or to govern, with God and what have you. No, these are just, man's way to explain symbolically what is going on, spiritually or psychologically within us. Okay, That is what we know how to use symbols, and symbols are pictures, words, numbers, a movie, something that is expressive or outward. These are symbols. They symbolize what's not seen, what is unseen. We're supposed to see these things and read in between the lines, so to speak. Not supposed to see on the surface what it is and think that's what it's talking about. What it's talking about is you have to descramble. It's coded. And why are these things coded or descrambled? Because that's how consciousness is. That's how consciousness works. That is the nature of consciousness. It has to, for it to remain pure, meaning the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, where nobody can come and change it, everything has to be coded. Isn't that what we do when we make all these so-called what do you call them now? Smartphones and this and that and the third. Everything is coded within the phone. All the digits, the ones and zeros, these are all codes, but they're all ones and zeros. Everything is coded, so that the program can be written a certain way and operate a certain way by the code, So we're just consciousness operating within the context of consciousness. And whether we're doing it knowingly or unknowingly, it cannot be anything other than consciousness. Cannot. It's the only thing that truly exists. The only thing that is life is consciousness. There is no omnipotent being, God, out there in the sky somewhere, looking down, pulling the strings. Okay? When you look in the mirror, you're looking at consciousness in that form. Okay? And doing things the way it can only be done in consciousness. Everything you're doing is you're operating within a specific law. You cannot operate outside of the law. Everything is within the law. But it is not to be misconstrued that, God, this God in the sky can operate outside of that and can, override this and override that. No. Because this consciousness is a law in and within itself. So it cannot go outside of itself or break its own laws or its own restrictions. No. It's operating within a certain specific, limitations, if you will. Okay? So this is why when we desire something, it don't just come magically like that, because the consciousness does not work like that. Okay? There's a time delay for it to become physical. The only place where it's instantaneous is in the invisible, in invisible consciousness or your imagination. That's the only place that it exists now. So for it to become physical, there's a delay. And all of that is a limitation within consciousness for a specific reason. Some people call it grace, because just in case it's not something that you really want or desire, you can change your mind. You can change it. So I don't know if Laurence has anything else you wanted to add about these specific numbers. Higher frequency, 144,000. That is a number that has been misunderstood, misconstrued by theologians from the beginning of of time, so to speak. And we're just bringing you guys awareness to these numbers, that they are symbolic. And if you look in the Bible, you will see them all over. So let's go over it one more time, and then we're going to close out today's lesson. Okay. So again, 144,000 is not a number for some few specific individuals. It is a number that is associated with man. Okay, man being Adam. Adam is the name given to mankind. Male and female. Okay, Adam means male and female. Adam is not a man that a woman was made from. Perish that thought. These are the symbolic expression or explanation of consciousness. Okay, Adam is male and female. So it says Genesis 1, verse 26 and 27, and Genesis 2, verse 1 and 5, verse 1 and 2 tells you specifically that this name belongs to a duality, male and female, both sexes. And anybody who tries to explain to you otherwise, they don't know what they're talking about. That's what it is. Absolutely. How do you know? Well, when you add up the name Adam, which is the Aleph, Dalet, Mem, from the Hebrew context, the actual name, when written in Hebrew, it is only 3 letters, Aleph, Dalet, Mem. Aleph is 1, Dalet is 4, Mem is 40. There's the 144 or the 1440. Now, when they add the numbers up, 1 plus 4 plus 4 equals 9. Okay? It is telling you that man is consciousness. Okay? But consciousness in a physical form. All right? Then the name also began with an Aleph, and the Aleph is telling of a duality of consciousness. It has 2 yods, one upper, one lower, and it is joined by a bow, which is a nail that joins 2 things together to make them one. Okay, the vow is like a conjunction that joins 2 sentences. I and, there is the vow, my father, the other sentence, are one. So the vow is something that conjoins 2 things to make them one. The very first letter in the alphabet tells you that by the very own Hebrews, their own explanation, that God and man are one. Consciousness and man are one. Consciousness and the flesh, consciousness and the physical, the spirit, and the expressed expression of itself are one. Okay? And so the name, Adam, when you become illumined, meaning to ascend, elevate, start to expand your mind, your awareness, it is then multiplied by 1,000. Okay? Which gives it the 144,000. All right? Because the first letter Aleph also means Aleph, also means 1,000. The same name, same word, same letter, which is pronounceable as a word Aleph, is also 1,000, but it's pronounced Aleph when they use it to symbolize the 1,000 number. And it is pronounced Aleph with like an E. You understand? That's how they pronounce it. And so therefore, all of that meaning is tied up into that one name, Adam. Okay, you're going from your descended form coming down here as flesh, and when you start to ascend, you become exponential. You multiply your awareness by 1,000, so to speak. Not literally 1,000 as we've written it or know it, but this is just a context within consciousness that your mind is no longer at the lower sense in which it came. It is now grown. It's multiplied. It is now expanded. Okay, into that. All right. So right there and then you have all the meaning of where that 144 comes from the very beginning, Adam. And in the end, the last book, Revelation, it is revealing to you where what is the meaning. Somebody wrote the Old Testament is the New Testament concealed, and the New Testament is the Old Testament revealed. Okay, so all the New Testament is doing, all the Old Testament has done is concealed the truth of who you are. Is hiding. The Old Testament is operating as flesh. It is all fleshy. If you see everything in the Old Testament, all this killing, going around fighting, it's this is the flesh state, the left side of the brain. You understand? That is your flesh state. That's where you operate from primarily in the conscious world. Okay? And on the right side of the Bible, you have the New Testament. That is the new discovery. So, oh, I thought I was just on the left. I thought I was just flesh, but now I realize that I am awareness. I am consciousness. You know, I am so much higher than where I thought I was. And so you start to operate from the right side of the brain, the right side of your consciousness. You know, and you begin to ascend. You begin to send everything to the right. You begin to start giving everything to the right side, to the Lord, the right hand. You know, you realize that for me to have daylight, I have to wait for the sun to come up. You know, and for me to have life, or things to have life, the nature, my vegetation, or warmth, I have to wait for the sun. So the sun is what radiates life onto this planet and keeps it alive. And wherever the sun goes, we go. That is the right hand. Okay? And so you will see in the Bible, everything is talking about the right hand or the east. You know, we're going to journey east, or they were journeying from the east. No, they're journeying back to the east. The promised land is to the east. Everything is on the right side. That is good, so to speak. Okay? And so when you come from this 144 perspective, and you journey all the way to the right, to the New Testament, and the last book is Revelation. Absolutely. The sun represents the male aspect, and the moon represents the feminine, and the moon represents feminine because the moon doesn't have its own light, it reflects light. And so therefore, in human anatomy or physiology, the woman is always going to give back to the man what the man first gave. If the woman has a daughter, it's because that's what the sperm was. If the woman has a son, that's because that's what the sperm was. You understand? A woman can only have what was given to her. Reflecting, you know. And the sun, you know, rises on the right, and the moon also rises on the right. I don't know. I don't know if you guys realize that, but they both come from the right side. The moon is emotional, yes, and the sun radiates high energy. That's right. The moon is your emotional self. You see, everything we're seeing in the so-called heavens, and it is like what they call it, a symbolic name. Heaven meaning high or the elevated um, aspect of yourself, the control um, board, so to speak. You know, the head office. Okay, so heaven and head is specifically the same words, just spelled differently. Okay, head, HEA, heaven, HEA, same thing. They just have a little difference in their spelling, but it's the same thing it's telling you. Okay, so when you look up into the skies, up into the heavens, you'll see it. You see the sun, you see the moon, you see the clouds, you see rain, all these things, you see lightning, all these things are within you. All you're seeing is yourself on the outside. That's it. All the stars, all the space in between, the hot and the cold, everything that's going on, all the wars, all the peace, whatever you see going on, all that stuff is latent within you. You're only seeing yourself on the outside. Okay? And as Rancy just mentioned, the moon is your emotional self, the emotions that man and woman have. Both of us have emotions. The only difference is being a duality, being one consciousness but operating as a duality. You will find that a man is more logical and a woman is more emotional. And there's a reason for that. The woman is always going to act or behave within that line of consciousness, and the man the same way. Okay? We cannot operate any differently than our anatomy has made us to be. But we're not to be misunderstood as being two consciousness. We are one consciousness operating as a duality. Okay? A right hand and a left hand, a top and a bottom, or the head and the body. Everything is operating perfectly. You know, even with our ignorance, it's operating perfectly. But it operates so much more, so much better when you become aware of this truth. Then you as a man will recognize your emotional self. You will see how you take things out of context or become emotional about certain things. And you know, that is you, where they would say in the Bible, um, which is taken out of context in the real world, that a woman should not speak in the church. What it is saying there is that you should not let your emotions be what speaks for you. You understand? You're going to these are things that create war and misunderstanding, because you're becoming your emotional side, taking things out of context. So it's on both sides. The male and the female have to understand this aspect of your being, that you have a conscious, subconscious, that you have a um, emotional side of you, and you have a logical side of you, you know, in both sexes. But because of our significance being male and being female, there's a specific part of us that is always more dominant. The male is more dominant in the logical side, the female is more dominant in the emotional side. And it's not negative, nothing is wrong with it. It all exists for a purpose. We just have to understand it. Just like how someone who understands electricity, they'll wire a house up perfectly and nothing will go wrong. And someone who doesn't understand electricity will try to do the same thing and burn the house down. and themselves. Both of you still operate in the same thing. One just knows how it really operates, and the other one does not. So we just have to understand ourselves of who we are, and what we are, and then operate in that context. But the minute we stay in the longer we stay in ignorance of these facts, of these truths, then the more chaotic our life is going to be. You know, you're still going to have chaos. You're still going to have ups and downs. This is life. That doesn't change. What does change is how you react to it. And the better you react to it, the sooner you will get over it. The sooner it will become just the past. and it will not become the future perpetually, because you have not learned, how your mind works, So great point there, Lawrence, here. The sun being the high energy or the male energy that is projecting, that is putting out, radiating light or consciousness, what it's aware of, which is light. The sun is only aware of being light or heat or whatever. And so that's all it can project. And then the moon reflects it and also give light, even in the dark, And so everything you see in the heavens was on purpose, okay? And it creates balance, The sun also, the earth also reflects the light of the sun. If you were to go out in space, use your imagination and go out into space and look back at the earth, and you see that it is reflecting the sunlight, just like the moon. Now, when the sun goes down, the earth can no longer reflect the sun where it is dark, only on the lighted side. So there's always a dark side to the earth and a lighted side to the earth. There's always a dark side to the moon and a lighted side to the moon. Okay? But we don't see this. So the earth is also considered a feminine aspect as well, because the earth gives life. The earth is what is the womb that projects what was buried within and exposes it out. You understand? So everything is working, together. And when we have the eclipse of the sun, and the eclipse of the moon, all these things, it is consciousness in expression in one way or the other. When the moon blocks out the sun from projecting onto the earth, and when the earth blocks out the moon from projecting, the sun from projecting on the moon, all these things is your consciousness in a specific operation. Nothing you see is really out there. It's all within. Nothing you see is out there. Even yourself is not here. There are others out there who knows how to explain these things and what's really, really going on. Just like how you watch TV, those people are not in the TV, but you can see them. They're not there. But we think we're here. It's the same thing, because the consciousness is just so close to its network, or to what it's being. You are unaware of the fact that all this thing that you're seeing is not even here. This is all an inner awareness that is being expressed on the outside. Everything you see is within. Nothing is without. As Never said, though it appears to be without, it is all within. It's all an inner work. And, so that's why we cannot explain, well, how, when did God make the moon and the sun and the earth and all this foolishness? Because none of these things were necessarily made. These are just inner expression or symbolism of consciousness. They don't exist. It's all within. It's consciousness seeing itself from the inside out, so to speak. It's all deep stuff, but when you ascend to that level of awareness, you understand the truth to it. And yes, you will still cry, you will still have sad days, bad days, like I did last week with my kid's mother's mom who passed, unexpectedly. These things bring sadness because you're still operating in two sides of yourself. You're operating a higher self and a lower self. The lower self is going to be the one that becomes emotional, cry, sad, happy, blissful, all these different things, all these different emotions in one. You're the expressive side. But then you draw back into yourself, into your true self-awareness, and understand, life just is. And these things happen and cannot escape them from happening. Just have to enjoy it as much as you can while you're here in the flesh, in the physical, and leave a legacy like what we're doing now, leaving this behind for others to see what we're doing. So, Serti, I think he's still busy with work. 12:08, Serti. Are you earth strong? Perfect time to end the session, I just opened my phone and there it is. 12:08. Yeah, man. That's today's Serti Earth Strong, So bless up yourself, big brother. Turn 52. The 5 loaves and 2 fishes of the biblical scripture. So happy birthday to you, sir, and giving thanks for today and for many, many more to come. All right. So that being said, guys, peace and love. Bless up on yourselves. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for being here. I'm hoping that this topic made sense. Happy Portal Day to you, sir. Yeah, man. Happy 52 revolutions around the sun. Our 52nd revolution around the sun. And I said, many, many more revolutions to come. Bless up on yourself. Peace and love. Happy Sunday to you all. We'll see you next week. Over and out.